Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles podcast. Today I'm going to be going over some finished objects as always, but I also wanted to talk about my experience at the Bristol Renaissance Fair this year, so we'll start with that. As many of you know, if you've watched previous videos on this channel, I actually crocheted myself some costume pieces for the Bristol Renaissance Fair. That is as far as I know, the largest Renaissance Fair in the state of Wisconsin. So I ended up going 2 weekends in a row to go visit all of the wonderful things that were there at fair. So the first weekend I went, I did not wear my crocheted costume. I actually don't think I wore any pieces that day that were handmade by me. I went for some of my more traditional Ren Fair pieces, so like stays and a blouse and a long skirt. All ones that I didn't get to wear last year or the year previously. Last year there was no Ren Fair because of pandemic reasons. The year before that I ended up going 3 times but still did not get through every costume that I have in my arsenal. So I wanted to get some of those pieces out again and do some costumes with pieces I either had never worn before or hadn't worn in the previous couple years that I had gone. So the first weekend I went, we went with a smaller group of friends. It was me and my husband, my sister-in-law, and another friend. And for that one, we sat for a whole bunch of the shows that were there. I think we ended up seeing 3 shows total. But we also did a lot of shopping and walking around and just kind of investigating everything. I always like to go multiple weekends because the layout for fair definitely changes every year. Some of the vendors swap in and out. Some vendors switch locations if they're maybe expanding how much space they need. But it seemed like everything was roughly in the same place that it was 2 years ago when I went the last time other than this summer. So the first weekend was super fun. I did not do a whole lot of shopping the first weekend because I knew that I was coming back. So I kind of just made a mental list of stuff that I was interested in but didn't really look to purchase anything. The second weekend I went, we went with a much larger group of friends, and this is a group of friends that has been to the fair many, many times. They're the group that we usually go with. So that was the trip that ended up being a lot more shopping based because that group has seen most of the shows already. Whereas the first weekend I went was with people who had never been there before. So the second weekend I went, I wore my crocheted bodice, water bottle holder, and belt pocket purse situation. And I got tons of compliments on it. I was really excited to be out and wearing it because you don't get a lot of chances to wear handmade crochet or knit pieces over the summer. So it was really fun to have that opportunity. I ended up talking to a cast member for a few minutes and she wanted my YouTube channel and my business card and everything like that. So that was super fun to be able to have that interaction with one of the actors in the park. And as far as shopping went, I actually, even though I had stuff that I was coming back to look at, I didn't get that much the second time either. I can't even remember what I got. I did get one thing that was very exciting, which actually I'll pause the video so that I can show you what it looks like because I realized it's like up on my shelf right now. And we're back. So a little backstory before I show you what this is. My parents recently moved so that they live in almost the same area that my husband and I do, but my husband and I live in an apartment. My parents' neighborhood goes all out for Halloween. We saw kind of the like modified version last year because of COVID. So instead of like coming up to doors to get candy, we put tables on the front lawns and kids could just come up and take candy from the table instead of interacting like physically with a person or taking things out of a bucket that like other kids had touched. Which actually, like, being a kid who loved trick-or-treating, I like that so much better because the doorbell ringing is the most awkward part of trick-or-treating, and it's way better to be able to like see what all your options are instead of like trying to dig through the bucket. So as both someone who grew up loving Halloween and as someone who was a teacher, like I know the value of pandemic aside, kids will dig through buckets until they get what they want, so having it spread out on a table seemed like a better system to me regardless. But in past years, in addition to having candy for trick-or-treaters, my parents' neighborhood has done stuff like adult beverages being handed out for adults. People answer the door in full costume. People do like cool lawn decorations, all that stuff. So this year I wanted to help. I did stay at my parents' last year for trick-or-treating. We had like a bonfire in the front yard and everything, but I didn't go in costume because A, it was cold out, and B, I was really sad that Halloween was not going to be functioning as normal, so I kind of like was a little salty about it that day, so I chose not to go in costume. But this year I actually want to use some of my Ren Fair costume pieces as my Halloween costume. But thinking about the fact that it was probably going to look like last year where you're not like physically handing things to the kids, I kind of wanted to do something special with my costume to make it more of like a character, if that makes sense. And a lot of my Ren Fair pieces that aren't the ones handmade by me are kind of black and green, and I have a lot of like dragon themed jewelry and other pieces. So the first weekend that I was at the Renaissance Fair, I saw that there was a booth that was selling dragon puppets that sit on your shoulder, and you can actually move the head with a little joystick thing that's in your pocket. So this is the dragon I got. He's not showing up super well on camera, but he's got the cutest little face and blue eyes. He's very fuzzy. Most of the fuzziness is to hide the mechanism to make him move, but he's got little feet, and this is the joystick piece that makes him move. It's a little hard to do it while holding him, but you can make the head go back and forth, and you can make it like kind of nod. So works well with like yes or no questions, but I just thought that that would be a really fun addition when kids are coming up to grab candy from the table to add a little bit of spooky magic to our Halloween celebration. So I did end up purchasing that, and it was a really nice company. The whole staff in that, I guess it was more of like an actual building, not just a tent or a booth. But they were really nice, and I really enjoyed looking at all the little dragons and picking out the perfect one for what I wanted. So I was super happy with that. And I can't remember what the other thing was that I purchased. Oh, I got some soap and things. There's a soap vendor there that I really like, so I got some bar soap for the apartment, as well as some Christmas gifts for a family member who also really enjoys soap and things like that. So it was a super fun day. I had so much fun being out and about in my crocheted costume. I definitely was feeling my best Hobbit self on that day. And it was just super exciting and so fun to be back in that magical environment. I ended up talking to a lot of the vendors this year because even though I wasn't buying things, my friends were, so that ended up with a lot of me standing in shops and just kind of chatting with vendors. So I ended up talking to a couple costume vendors where they were asking about what I had made and all that. So it was just a very exciting day, and brought a lot of joy to be back there, even though I had just been the previous weekend. But both weekends were very, very fun, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to go this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have that again next year as well. Moving on to some finished objects. I am still hard at work trying to build up a stock for the upcoming neighborhood craft fair that I'm in. Again, it's my parents' neighborhood. Their neighborhood is a wonderful community that has all sorts of events, so they're doing a neighborhood rummage, art, and craft fair. So I'll have a table at the end of my parents' driveway. I talked about this more in the previous episode of the podcast, so if you want some more information, you can check that one out. Let's start with hats. So I'm hoping that you can't hear that garbage truck on camera. I might need to pause for a minute again. I seem to always hit garbage truck o'clock when I'm trying to film a podcast. Okay, I think that the noise level outside is low enough that we can keep going. I sat here for like 20 minutes waiting for the garbage truck to go away, and then someone started a lawnmower, which I'm very glad that we have a nice apartment complex property that we can walk around and go sit outside, but I can't figure out what time of day they always do garbage truck and lawn mowing, so I can't plan around it as someone who now makes videos as part of what they do. So hopefully we'll get it eventually, or, you know, get a house at some point. Anyway, so stuff that I'm making for the craft fair. The first item that I made a couple more of are these ponytail hats. Show the tie. I love these. I have at least one for myself, and I'm contemplating making another one. But the top is actually a drawstring so that you can open up the hole to put a ponytail or a messy bun through. And I've been liking these a lot because you don't have to have a full hat's worth of yarn to make one. You can kind of use leftover bits from different balls of yarn, which is why this one is black and gray. I also ended up making 3 where the top is all kind of a marled yarn with some puffs in it, and the bottom is 3 different colors. These were all the Dollar Tree Premier yarns that were out a little while ago, but I think they turned out super cute, and I'm hoping that maybe somebody like buys them as a set for family members or something. The next object that I made a couple more of is just traditional double layered beanies. I have this one in teal. I also have a blue. These are both also the Dollar Tree yarn. I have one in a navy Red Heart Super Saver and one in black. I think this is I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby or something similar. I don't know, it was just in my stash, but lots of beanies to add to the sale. I also made some more twisty headbands. This one I really love the pattern of. This is definitely, and I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. I don't remember what the color name is because I lost the ball band, but that one is super pretty. I love all the colors in it, even though I'm not like a pink and purple person. I like how it's balanced out with the blue, green, and gray. I also have one in a sparkly yarn. This is Big Twist from Joann's. Don't have the color name, it's just the sparkly gray. More Dollar Tree yarn, the light blue. More Dollar Tree yarn, the teal, same as the other ones. And a minty green. I don't know what this yarn is, but I think it has some wool in it. It's not 100% acrylic like the others, but a nice mint green color. The next set of things I was working on is more wall hangings. I do have a tutorial for a corner to corner wall hanging on my channel if you go back, and I've just kind of been using some already patterned yarns to make more of those. So this is the first one, and this one I did already add fringe to. The rest of them I still need to do that part. But this is a Red Heart Super Saver Stripes. Again, don't remember the color because I lost the ball band, but all I did was make a C2C rectangle, add the fringe, attach it to a dowel rod, and then add a string to hang it. Make sure you have your dowel rods first so that you can match the width of your piece to the stick so that you can actually hang it. These do not hang well if you don't have the stick in there, so I highly recommend actually adding that. The next 2 are also C2Cs made with Red Heart. These are both from the ombre line, and these are the ones that I need to still add some fringe to, but I thought that the color gradient was super cool. Really like how these turned out in these like kind of softer colors. And then I also have it in green, nice kind of sage olivey green color. And then the last one I made is with a cotton yarn that I know that I got from Michael's. It was one of the ones that was on clearance. kind of in the middle of summer, so it was a cotton something. Don't remember what it is, and I think the yarn has been discontinued, but I still have some in this brown color. So I experimented with bead stitches and some staggered double crochets to make a really cool textured one, and I think I'll make some more with the texture in them like this, because I think that that really added a lot to a pretty much solid color yarn. It is slightly variegated. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the texture really added a lot and made it look more interesting. The last item that I was making a whole bunch of are little pumpkins on the 22 needle Centro. These are super easy. I can't remember if I showed them in the last podcast or not, or if these are all from this week. But I basically use the same method you would use to make a double layered hat, but on the Centro, or on the 22 instead of the 48 needle. Sew it up on one end the same way that you would do a hat. Then you kind of stitch around the opening, stuff it, pull the stitches tight, and then the secret to make it pumpkin shape is once you seal off the other side, you take the yarn ends and pull them back through the center of the pumpkin and kind of cinch them tight to give it that pumpkin shape. And then I used my tulip I-cord maker to make the little stems and just attach them. I have a whole basket of these now. I think I'm up to 16 little baby pumpkins, so I'm really excited to have those at the craft fair. I'm also planning on making some little black cats, and then some little Christmas wreaths and hopefully snowmen, so that I can get kind of a head start on some more wintry items. But I think that's primarily what I'm going to be selling, is the hats and headbands, the wall hangings, and then the little seasonal items. I do want to get some earrings and stitch markers made as well. There's the lawnmower again. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're finally back. I ended up having to take a break for like 45 minutes. I just went and ate my lunch and came back because there was a lawnmower like directly outside my window that entire time. So I think I was kind of at the end of what I was going to say anyway. I hope you enjoyed the most recent video where I was working on some of my craft fair projects. I had a lot of fun making it, and I've been having a lot of fun making a lot of small items this week. I think one of the most frustrating things about being a knitter or a crocheter is that it takes so long to get to a finished object depending on what you're making. So getting the the satisfaction of completing a bunch of really small items has been really motivating this week, and hopefully means that I will be more motivated to finish some of my bigger projects, so that's really nice. Thank you so much for watching the podcast this week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more crafty videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.